Let's make sure that y'all can see this. I set up a different little way today. So can y'all see that better? My marble rolled off and I put it in my pocket. So
I can only see half of the paper.
But can you see the marble?
Yeah, I can see the marble, but it is kind of glitchy. I think that's just my computer though, because I can set the resolution.
Okay, yeah. See if you can do what you did last class and enlarge it some and see. If not, I can try to arrange this a little bit. Tell me. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna do the glass marble again in color. However, we are going to do it realistically. So last class, when we started our work, we did a harsh outline. Last class period, you had something that looked like a coloring page. It's something that looked like this. Remember? Right? Now what I want for you to do is very lightly, using whisper lines, take your pencil and draw your marble. Okay.
I can't really see the marble. It's kind of far away from the screen. It's really small, so I can't see anything.
It's kind of far away from what? Was that better?
Oh, it was really clear for a second, and then it just got...
Okay. All right. Let's see. I will bring back my handy dandy paint can. This is a great paint, by the way. It's a pearlescent finish. Now, how about, come on. Now, better?
It's closer, but I can't see anything but the marble.
You can only see the marble. Let me try this instead of moving the marble. What about that? Okay. Okay. Is it focused and it's better now? I see some people saying yes, some people saying no.
That's better now.
Okay, good. And I know that we do this every class, but the thing about it is I set this up before class, and as soon as I have it set up, like, y'all have a different viewpoint than I do. So I really don't know until y'all let me know. All right? Now, we are going to take and draw those outlines and draw those values again. So you may go ahead and start doing that. On drawing those outlines. If you're like, I can't see that very well and I'm unsure, if you have your drawing, no, do a different page. If you have your drawing and you can see through it, right, and it's the same light source, if you drew it dark enough, you might be able to trace what you had last class. Now this paper is thick, so I'm not going to be able to see it. I only recommend doing that if, let's let these students in. I only recommend doing that if you're unsure about how you can draw, right? You think that you're not going to be able to draw it fast enough. For me, I will draw it faster than trace it. But that option is available. You can put this up against a window. If you're lucky enough to have a light table, you can put it up against a light table. But draw those in. Okay. There's always, I don't know if it's the new update. There are great things about it. And then there are things that can be a little frustrating, like the delay. Okay. So what I'm doing again is I'm drawing in those values, but I'm drawing them with my whisper lines. And the reason I'm drawing them with my whisper lines is because I'm going to make this realistic. So So I have all my values that I'm drawing in. Okay, and I have my values drawn. Okay, so I know it's very light for you to see because I drew in whisper lines, but this is what I have. I have drawn in my values just like I did last class. See, right here. Do not outline this in marker. Okay, just keep that whisper line going. Is that easier for y'all to see now with half a sheet? I hope so. Now, the question is, how do we get from this to a realistic image? You can use crayons for this. You can use color pencils for this. Alcohol-based markers will work a little bit, but they're not going to work great unless you have a blender. And if you have the blender, that's good. Yes, Sarah, you can do that. If you have a blender, then it will work, but it's not going to get that clear shine like I'm getting ready to show y'all how to do. Same thing with water-based markers like Crayola. You can do it out of that, and then your blender would be a paintbrush with just plain water. But again, you're not going to get that clear shine. So I start with the same process that I did last class. Now I'm going to use my color pencil, my Prismacolor color pencils, but you can do the same thing with crayons or Crayolas, because the reality is it doesn't matter if you have a $2 set of color pencils or a $100 set of color pencils. If you're not using the correct technique, it's not going to matter that much. And yes, I know. There are some challenges with that. I'm hoping that y'all are, I'm trying to do the best that I can so that y'all can still be learning these techniques and keep it with the lessons that we would be doing in class. This is like one of the first units that I do with 7th grade and with my advanced students. So I'm trying to keep that happening. I hope that it's working for y'all. I will say for me, it is easier when I see your camera or when you share your work, because I can comment on the images immediately. This right here is going to be what I use the most. It's a white color pencil. I also have a very light gray, right? This is, if you remember when we were doing our value scale, I showed you something called 10%. This is a 10% gray. And I have that one too. Those will be my blenders that I use the most. So now I take my colors. I'm hoping we can do this. I know John David is going to keep me on point. I appreciate it. I'm going to take my colors that I used last class. If I can find them. I've had this set of pencils forever. Hold on, let me get my other one. Okay. And I'm going to lightly fill in those values. Right? So lightly fill in the values that you have. So this value right here is my lightest yellow. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do that light yellow. I'm still coloring the direction that it goes. This does not have to be done by today. I'm giving you until next week to get this complete. I think I have Monday as the due date, but I think I'm going to switch that and give you a little more time because we spent so much time with Inktober, which is fabulous. So I have my light value there. And then I don't know if you can see it from your viewpoint, but from my viewpoint, I actually have a little bit of green in here for my darker value of my yellow. So instead of using an orange right there for my darker value, I'm going to use the color that I see to add that value, which is a little bit of green. And then I'm going to come here and I see my darkest yellow. Remember, we don't mix black with yellow unless you want your yellow to look more green and brown. Adding black to yellow for a shade, it to me just darkens it too much. So I use brown. Sometimes I'll even use a red or an orange, and that will work well. So I have my values here, and I've colored lightly. Hopefully you can see. I've colored lightly, right? Now I'm going to show you this step. What I would do is I would fill in all of the values for each section. But we don't have the whole time for that right now. So I'm going to show you with this section, and then I'll finish this after class and put it out, all right? So John David, I was just saying you're always my timekeeper. You always do a great job with keeping my time. One thing, and I made this mistake because I'm still thinking about Inktober, is when you get to that edge, even though I had a value here, right, maybe you can see it, right here, that goes over top, see how that value goes over top for me? I still add them in, and I will overlay that darker value, which is like a darker gray, over this whole section. Make sure it overlaps that color here. And when that's all done, you come in with your white and you blend it all together. So I'm applying a little more pressure, and I'm still going in the direction that it goes. And you can start to see that it's getting shiny like glass. Okay. Then I have here, add a little bit more of that value. And then I go to my next section. So I have that section there. Now let me come here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this with y'all on Monday, so you won't have to worry about trying to finish this over the weekend without me. We're just going to finish this together on Monday and do an Inktober together. That's what we're going to do on Monday. That way I don't feel rushed and I'm not going too fast. So now I'm adding this color, this value. Come here, thank you. I'll come here. See, I told you, you're awesome. My timekeeper. For this darker value right here, orange is the same as the yellow. I could add black to it, but I don't like to add my black to my orange either. I think it looks too muddy. Well, if you want something that looks muddy like this, this is something I've been working on in my personal art, what I've been creating. Can you see how these colors that are mixed are muddy looking? Like this yellow here looks more green. That's because I mixed black with it. Whereas here, I made a darker value by mixing brown. Can you see the difference there between the brown and the yellow and then the black and the yellow, how that looks more green and muddy? And this right here. It's kind of blurry, but you can tell. Okay, I will share a picture of this in an announcements so that you can see it hopefully a little bit better. But that's a piece that for some personal art that I've been making, but I will share that. It's a good example of making the colors muddy, right? Now, here, whenever you have new color pencils and you're sharpening a new color pencil, look at the pencil itself and see where the words are. The color is always down there at the bottom. Can you see? And on some color pencils, there's even a number. That number is important because it tells you the dye lot or the dye color. So this set that I have right here, I've had since college. I've had it for a very, very long time. And I don't have to buy a whole new set every time. All I have to do is buy a new pencil. So when this pencil, which is 946, is gone, I just have to buy another one of these pencils. And I say this because sometimes people sharpen from this end and it sharpens away that number. So you need to make sure you sharpen from the opposite end. Some of you are saying, well, duh, I know that, but you would be surprised at how many people forget that and then they don't know what color they're using because they've shaved over that word or sharpened over that word. Okay? Yes, so you want to have this very, very lightly. So you can see the comparison between my yellow and my orange. Now remember, I blended this yellow early so you could see it, but what I did with this technique is not something that you'll do to the end. Can you see how that white paper is shining through? How you can see like the little white dots and it's not full because I've just applied a light layer. That's what you want. You want for that to happen because when we blend it all together, it's going to be solid, right? You're going to use that material to do it for you. So I'm adding in the darker values of my orange by shading it a darker tint with my brown. And I don't know if y'all can see it, but from my viewpoint, I have a little green up here at the tint too. I'm assuming that that means that there's a green stripe on the other side that you might be seeing. But it's giving me that green reflection. Now for this lighter orange, you can either add white or I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow so that it lightens the orange, but it still keeps it bright. Because if you have orange and white, you might get a color like that's more peach or melon. Whereas if you have orange and yellow, you're going to get a lighter value, but not lose the color itself, the intensity itself. Okay. I feel like I rushed through that very, very quickly because, you know, I was excited about Inktober. Are there any questions? Because this is where I'm going to stop right here for today. And then we will finish this on Monday and do our Inktober. David.
My computer is kind of glitchy and I can't follow what you're saying, so I couldn't really get much done.
Okay, so here's the thing. I have filmed this and I will post in an announcement this picture, my video, and my drawing up to this point. It will not be an assignment announcement. It will just be to get you to this point, and then Monday we will finish it and you will get the assignment for this next week. Does that work for you, David?
Yeah.
Okay, then that way when we start class on Monday, everybody will have this color ribbon done. That's all you will have to have done for Monday. You won't have to turn it in and submit it to me. You'll just have the reference for this point, okay? And then hopefully it won't be so glitchy and you'll be able to see it better. Does that work?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, I don't want for anybody to get frustrated. So I will send that to you because it was kind of rushed today. Now, it's not going to look great. It is going to look unsolid. It's going to look like there are white spaces here. It's going to look like you started to add color and then you just stopped, because that's exactly what we did. You're going to have all of these white spaces in here, and that's what you want. You're going to have this layering of color, and it doesn't kind of make sense, but that's what you want. That's correct. This is correct. Now, if you have pencil, thank you for someone saying that. If you have pencil that you've drawn down and then you put color pencil over top of it, that's why we draw with whisper lines, it's going to show that color pencil. They do make this eraser. That's called a mono eraser. And this mono eraser is the only thing that I have ever found. Can y'all see that?